Hey everybody, it's John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the ABC Murders, grabbing the Eagle's Eye achievement. We are doing part 3. I'll be covering the first half of day 3, just because day 3 is absurdly long, and day 4 is going to be super short. So I'm going to combine the second half of day 3 with day 4. So this is going to be that. So you're going to start off in your apartment, getting the letter C letter. And after that, what you want to do is you want to go to the coffee table and make sure you read both of the newspapers. After you do that, you are going to have to answer the phone, and then your sidekick is going to be packing these suitcases. This is going to be one of the few, if not only, observations in the game where you have to make a story choice in order to get all of the observations. He's going to ask you if you want to pack or not, and you want to make sure you point out that order is essential, and that will allow you to pack up the stuff. You also get an achievement for this. I believe the achievement's called Snowflake, and what you want to do is you just want to hover over all of the stuff in the suitcase: the towel, the pajamas, the bottles, the old socks, and the toothpaste. So make sure you get all of those, and you'll get an achievement for that, which I'll cover in a separate guide if you need it. But as soon as you get control of your character, make sure you look over to the bookshelf right here, and you can look at your sidekick's photo album. What you want to do is just want to flip it over to look at the actual photos, and you can see he was a pretty accomplished hunter back in the day or something. But anyways, after that, what you want to do is you want to once again look at the ABC guide, and make sure you flip it over to read the address, and this should wrap up your little run at the apartment right here. So you are going to head to the crime scene, and then from the crime scene, which one of these you want to look at this bush right here, and your character will take note of that. And then after that, you want to look at the trampled grass next to it, and that will be helpful for the investigation later, as well as with most of the observations of the game. Then again, you have the optional ones, which does make this achievement missable, and that's why we're making guides for it. But anyways, once you investigate the bush, what you want to do is you want to investigate the dead body first. So you have the dead dude. Make sure you get the splatter of blood behind him, and you are going to make sure you go to his legs right here to make sure that he's like not messed up in any way, I guess. After that, you are going to get his throat cut right here. Make sure you get that, and then finally you get to the ABC guide once again, because you know, kind of the title of the game, kind of important. But make sure you get that, and finally you can turn this thing around, and that will wrap up this part of the investigation. Alright, we're going to go to the tarp with all of the possessions in his pocket. There's going to be 4 things here. Now, sometimes the game will make you go into one of those deduction processes. If that happens, just exit out and keep searching the stuff. You want to do that so the cutscene doesn't end, obviously. So make sure you get the wallet, the ring, the pocket watch, and the key holder. And if for any reason you are interrupted in searching, you want to make sure you hit the B button and back out and keep searching, and not do the deduction part until you search all 4 objects. So that is a note to keep in mind. So just get all the objects. You just have to rotate them until the dude gives you his little commentary, which, you know, sometimes is really annoying, especially the key, because, you know, you might look at it at one angle and think you got it, but then the guy's like, nah. But once you're over, you want to go between these 2 bushes and look at this very picturesque rock with a bird that seems to be just drawn on in the background. But this one's very missable because obviously it's optional, and this is another one that makes this achievement pretty annoying, just because there's a handful of missable observations that aren't story-based. But eventually you'll head into the manor and then talk to the owners, I guess. You're going to talk to this guy. Make sure you observe him. You want to get his eyes, or his face rather, and you want to get his tie, I believe, and you want to get his shoulders. So then after that, you are going to interview the lady caretaker, I guess, or secretary, something like that. I'm sure you'll find out if you pay attention to the story. But you want to observe them before interviewing them, obviously, so you can knock it out of the way before they leave. But once you're here, make sure you get her eyes, and you'll get her blouse, as well as the dragon brooch that she's wearing on her coat right here. So make sure you get all of those, and then they'll leave to go tend to some rich people things. You'll have free control of the room. You want to investigate the room. So the first thing you want to do is look at the dinner table and examine its very Chinese aesthetic. You want to look at the dragon in the center, and then you want to look at the top of the teapot right here. After that, you want to look at these 4 tiles right here. Each of them is an animal. So you have the turtle, the crane, the tiger, and the dragon. This may or may not be a puzzle solution coming up in like 2 minutes. So you may or may not want to pay attention or not. So make sure you do that in case you aren't using a guide and actually are playing this game, trying to figure out the puzzles by yourself, which if you can, you are a smarter person than I. And there you go. And the last one for this table is going to be this book. So make sure you grab the book and then turn it around, read the title, and there you go. Now you can leave and then investigate the rest of the room. First thing you want to do is look at the corner right here, and there's going to be some more nice Chinese paraphernalia all over the place. Alright, make sure you look at this silk banner on the wall right here, and that will lead you to another observation scene. You want to first get to the silk banner and just hover your cursor over it. Then you want to get to the golden dragon here, and finally you want to get to this nice wooden carving above the door. So once you get all of those, we can head to the left of the room to grab quite possibly the second most annoying puzzle in the game. We'll get to the other annoying part in the second part of Chapter 3, but this one was definitely annoying, especially if you didn't pay attention to that dragon table earlier that I may or may not have mentioned. But once you solve it, the thing will open up, and you want to examine the ceremonial knives as well as this letter, because, you know, those are so worth protecting with complicated puzzles. But once you read the letter, make sure you flip it over and read it. Alright, the people are going to come back, and then we're going to observe the lady once again. This time you want to look at her makeup. It looks very messed up now. She's probably doing some hardcore crying. And then you want to look at her lipstick, and finally her torso area. So make sure you look at that. And eventually, at the end of the half of the chapter, so the halfway point of the chapter, you're going to get back to your apartment to investigate the suspects from the past chapters. So you first want to look at the 2 people from Chapter 2. So look at the dude first, and make sure you look at his eyes, the shaving cut on his chin, as well as his hands, and you can knock that one out of the way. Then you want to look at the woman, who is all dressed up today, and you want to take note of that. So examine her face as well as all her jewelry. So make sure you get her face. You can see she's all made up because she wants to do things with this gentleman that she's sitting next to. Alright, so get all of that, and then we can move on. Now, very important that you do not do this out of order. So make sure you get these people first. Skip the fine gentleman in the middle and go to the couch on the right. Once you're here, you want to first interview the lady from Chapter 3, so the dragon brooch lady. You just have to hit Y on her. You don't have to do the whole zoom in process, which is pretty cool. And then you want to get the grieving lady from Chapter 1. So once again, just hit Y over her and no zoom in nonsense. And finally, you can get the gentleman in the middle. So make sure you do it in that order: left, right, and then center. So once you get to the gentleman, make sure you get to the dude on the right first. This is going to be the guy from Chapter 3. So make sure you just look at him. And then finally, with your assistant or sidekick, you don't have to hit the Y button. Instead, you hit A, but that still counts as an observation for whatever reason. It's the only time in the game that happens. But that's going to be it for this part. Don't forget to check back soon for part 4. And that's it.